So today I'm going to be telling you how to make a granny square, and I'm going to be making my granny squares with just one colour, so single colour granny square, not changing colours, and we're going to just go and see how all the stitches work. I'm going to show you in a second, but just to give you an idea of how this works. So we start our granny squares in the middle. I'm going to start with a magic ring, and then I'm going to show you how to do a standing double crochet as your start. And then what's going to happen, we're going to chain in the corners and do groups of 3 double crochets. And that is how granny squares work. So chains in the corner, groups of 3, and when we get to the second row, we'll see that we've got a little chain there between the 2 corners. And we'll show you exactly how that works. So starting with a standing double crochet. So let's just move all of that out of the way and let's get going. So starting now with our magic ring. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to wrap it around my fingers twice, making a cross. And I'm going to turn my fingers over, and I'm holding my yarn between my fingers there, so holding it tight so that it doesn't move around. And I'm going to take my hook and put it underneath that one, grab the bottom one and bring it through like this. And I'm going to twist so that I've got a loop on my hook. And then this is my working yarn here. I'm going to make a chain. And then everything is held in place. And I'm going to slowly slide that off my fingers, tension my yarn in my hand like I normally would. And now I've got this ring here. And that is where all of my stitches are going to go, into this ring. So I'm going to start with my standing double crochet, as I said. And the way that we do that is we pull this loop a little bit longer. So just pull it so that it's nice and long. And the length here should be around about the height of your normal double crochet. Then you're going to put your finger on this loop and hold it tight because you don't want it to move around. And what we're going to do is we're going to move our hook so that this piece of yarn here, which has 2 things, obviously, 2 strands, we're going to move it so that that is over the top of my hook. So I'm going to just holding tight to this loop, you must hold tight, just turn my hook like this so that that is looped over my hook. And now I'm going to pretend that these strands here are the loops that I would normally have on my hook if I was doing a double crochet. So yarn over and you would go through 2, so it's kind of underneath those 2, and then yarn over and through the final 2. Okay, and that's my standing double crochet to start. It looks a bit loopy at the moment, but it'll be fine once we get back round to it in a sec. So now I'm going to make my corner. So I'm going to do 2 chains, and then I'm going to do my group of 3 double crochets. So yarn over all into the loop, just as we were doing before. So that's 1, and then yarn over and another one, 2, and then the final one. So yarn over here, and there I've got my final double crochet. So now I've got 1 standing double crochet, I've got a corner here which is 2 chains, and a group of 3. So if I just have a quick look at what my finished first round is going to look like. So at the moment I've got this stitch here, a corner and a group of 3. So then I'm going to make another corner, another group of 3, another corner, another group of 3, another corner, and I'm going to finish with 2, and then I'm going to join into that first one. So that's what it's going to look like at the end. Okay, so at the end of my first round, so not the end of my square. Then I'm going to do my 2 chains because now I'm at the corner, and then 3 double crochets, again still into the ring. So that's 1, and 2, and 3, oops, and 3. So there I've got 2 sides, half a side. So another 2 chains, and let's do another group. So another group of 3. So 1, 2, 3, Okay, so now what have I got? I've got 3 sides and half a side. So I'm going to pull my ring closed a little bit, and then I'm going to finish off. I'm not going to close it up completely because I still need to get my hook into there. So I've got 2 chains. This is the last corner. And now I'm going to finish with 2 double crochets, and then I'm going to join it to that first one. So 1, 2, oops, that's my tail in the way. And now I'm going to join with a slip stitch into that standing double crochet. Now the top of my standing double crochet often looks a bit loose, but that's fine. So I'm just going to pop my hook in there underneath both things, bring my yarn through and bring it straight through and slip stitch those together. And now I can pull my ring nice and tight, so close up that hole. And that's my first round. Okay, now to get to our second round where that needs to start, I need to slip stitch into this chain space here. So I'm going to put my hook into the space and just bring the yarn through and bring it straight through that loop. And that's just going to give me a little space there where I can put my group of 3 double crochets into the chain space without it looking all scrunched up. So now let's get on to round 2. So this is what the end of round 2 is going to look like. So at the moment we've got our round 1, which is just this bit in the middle here, and we've slip stitched to our first chain space. And what we're going to do, I'm going to start with my standing double like I did before. I'm going to chain 2 around the corner and then do a group of 3 into that corner space, so into that single corner space. That one there is where I'm going to put my first round of stitches, so these stitches. Then I'm going to chain 1 along the side, and into the next corner I'm going to do 3 double crochets and then 2 chains and then 3 double crochets all into that one corner. I'm going to chain 1 and then do another corner, so 2 groups of 3 double crochets, chain 1 and then do another corner, so 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and I'm going to come round and I'm going to finish with 2 double crochets into that first corner that I started with, and then slip stitch join to that standing double crochet. So let's go. So I already slip stitched into my corner so that I have a little space where I can put my final group. So now I'm going to start with my standing double crochet. So holding onto that loop as before, pulling my loop up a little bit so that I've got a nice long bit of yarn, and then holding onto it firmly, turning my hook so that that goes over my hook, and then yarn over and bring it underneath and yarn over and through 2. And that's my standing double crochet, the first one. Then I'm going to make my corner. So 2 chains for my corner, and then I'm going to do a group of 3 double crochets into that same space, so into that space there. So 1, 2, 3. So that's my 3 double crochets. So now I've got my first standing, my corner, chain 2 in the corner, and my first group of 3. So now I want to get over to the next corner. So I want to get over to this next corner. So I'm going to chain 1 along the side. And then I'm going to go straight into this corner, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets, then chain 2, and then 3 double crochets, all into that one corner space. So here we go. So 1, 2, 3, and then chain 2. Oops, just lost my yarn. To keep hold of that. Chain 2, and then another 3 into that same space. And that's how we're making the corner on our next round. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Right, so that's our corner. So now I've got my standing double, and this is my first corner, so that's only half finished. I still need to finish on my 2 double crochets at the end, and then I've got my first full corner here, so 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. So let's carry on around. So now I need to chain 1 along the side and make another corner into this corner. So that's 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and then 3 more into that corner. 1, 2, 3, and then I've got one more corner to go there, and then I need to finish off my first corner. So I've got chain 1 along the side, and now I'm going to go into that space there where my next corner is with 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and then 3 more into that same space. So 1, 2, 3, and then I need to just finish off this first corner that I did, so chain 1 along the side, and then I still have 2 double crochets in this first corner to just finish that first or last, if you like, that last treble or group of 3 double crochets. So there's 2 double crochets plus the one that I started with, and now I need to slip stitch to the top of that standing double. So sometimes the top of your standing double can be a little bit tricky to get into, but there it is. So underneath the 2 bits there, yarn over, bring that through and bring it straight through that loop on my hook for my slip stitch. So that's my second round of my granny square. So remember, we started here in the middle with magic ring, group of 3 double crochets, chain 2 in the corner, group of 3, chain 2, group of 3, chain 2, blah blah blah. And then on the second round, start with standing double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochets into that same space, and then chain 1, and then a corner which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and then across the side chain 1, and then another corner, so 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 doubles, and then the final corner same as before, so chain 1 along the side, and then finish the corner, 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles, and then chain 1 along the final side and finish with 2 double crochets into that first corner, and then slip stitch together. So now then our last round is going to look like this. So you can continue doing as many rounds as you want and make your granny square even bigger and bigger, but we're going to just do the last round as this third round. So here we've just got the addition of one more group along the side. So if you have a look here between the two, so here I've got this gap along the side, and I'm going to put a group of 3 doubles into that gap as well. So my corners are going to be exactly the same as they were before. So these corners are the same. So the corners have 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. But we're just going to put one extra group in that space there between my 2 corners. So let's see how that works. So I just finished there with slip stitching into my first standing double, so I need to also slip stitch into the corner just to give me a little bit of space to put my last group of double crochets, otherwise they can kind of sit on top of each other and be a little bit squished. Okay, so standing double to start, so pull that up, put your finger on the loop and then wrap it over, yarn over underneath, yarn over through 2, that's a standing double, and now we're going to start our corner, so chain 2 and then 3 double crochets into the corner, so 1, 2, 3, okay. And now I'm on the side of my square, so I'm going to chain 1 But instead of going straight across to the corner, I've got this extra gap along the side. So I'm going to put 3 double crochets into that gap. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm back into my next corner. So chain 1 because I'm still on the side, and then I'm over to my next corner. So I've done my corner, my side, next corner. So then we're into the corner, which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, 3, so 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and then another 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we're along the side again, so chain 1, and then 3 double crochets into that side space. So 1, 2, 3. And then to get to the next corner, we need to chain 1, and then do in our next corner the same again. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then chain 2, and then 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And then where are we now? So we're on this is on a side, so chain 1, and then 3 double crochets into that side space. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we're into our last corner, and then we just need to finish off with our last side and our last bit of the first corner. So to get to the corner we need to chain 1, and then we're in that corner space. So 3 double crochets in the corner, 1, 2, 3, chain 2 in the corner, and then 3 more double crochets in there. So one of the things about granny squares is that we are always working in the spaces. We're never working into the tops of the stitches like we normally would if we were just working in rows or rounds. So that's slightly different. So then chain 1, and this is my last side. So 3 into that last side space. So 1, 2, 3. And we're always doing groups of 3, so that's also important. So if you're not used to crocheting in groups of 3, then do count that you've got 3 in each group, because sometimes it's easy to miss if you're distracted or something like this. Right, so I need to just finish now, chain 1, and then I'm back to my first corner, and I just need to finish off with 2 double crochets to finish that group of 3. Okay, so that's 1, and that's 2. Oops, can't get that last one. And then we're going to slip stitch to my standing double crochet here. And my last loop has gone a little bit hidden behind. It's there. Slip stitch there and join that together, and that is my last round. So if I wanted to now make my granny square bigger, then I could start in exactly the same way. So standing double, corner, 3 double crochets. But now I would have 2 side spaces. So I would put a group of 3 into each of those gaps, and 1 chain in between the gaps. If you find that your granny squares are too gappy, you can also eliminate these 1 chains between the groups and just do nothing. So do a group and then a group, and that will give you a little bit less gappy. You do need to keep the ones on the corners though, otherwise your corners will just kind of squish together and they won't be proper corners. So do keep your 2 chains on the corner. Some people, it depends a little bit on your tension too, but you might find that 1 chain is enough. For me, I need 2 chains in the corner, otherwise it will close up. And that's how to do a granny square with 1 single colour. I will make a little video showing you how to do it with different colours on different rounds. So that will be my next one. But I'm not going to do that in this video too. Just to come back to these little squares that I started off with. So here, what I did is I did a round of single crochet into each stitch and each gap, just so that I had something to join them together with. I just found it a little bit easier to join with a single crochet around there. So that's a kind of nice finishing. If you're wanting to join them together, it can look quite nice if you finish with around a single crochet. Okay, so that is granny squares in 1 single colour.